Trump erupted against American media outlets after growing claims suggested Iran emerged stronger despite months of U.S. military pressure. Trump blasted CNN and the New York Times, accusing them of falsely portraying Iran as victorious over Washington publicly nationwide. Trump's latest rage-filled social media post came amid narrative suggesting Iran's leadership survived America's maximum pressure military campaign successfully. Facing backlash over diplomacy, Trump appeared to shift back toward military and economic pressure tactics against Tehran aggressively once again. U.S. F-22 stealth fighters operating above the Middle East signaled Washington's increasingly hardened military posture toward Iran strategically. Trump now faces simultaneous pressure from Republican critics, hostile media coverage, and escalating tensions surrounding the broader Iran crisis. President Donald Trump lashed out at major American media outlets during a fiery post shared on Truth Social recently. Trump accused U.S. media organizations of portraying Iran as victorious despite sustained American military pressure against Tehran strategically nationwide. The president mocked critics for repeatedly undermining American military operations and diplomatic actions targeting Iran during the ongoing crisis recently. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "If Iran surrenders, admits their navy is gone and resting at the bottom of the sea, and their air force is no longer with us, and if their entire military walks out of Tehran, weapons dropped and hands held high, each shouting 'I surrender while wildly waving the representative white flag, and if their entire remaining leadership signs all necessary documents of surrender, and admit their defeat to the great power and force of the magnificent USA, the failing New York Times, the China Street Journal, corrupt and now irrelevant CNN, and all other members of the fake news media, will headline that Iran had a masterful and brilliant victory over the United States of America. It wasn't even close. The Democrats and media have totally lost their way. They have gone absolutely crazy." Unquote. Trump specifically targeted CNN, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal during his online outburst against media organizations. The remarks came amid growing criticism that Trump failed to secure a decisive strategic victory against Iran militarily or diplomatically. An Iranian analyst claimed Washington abandoned regime change ambitions after failing to break Tehran through sustained military and economic pressure campaigns. Mustafa Najafi argued the United States now seeks crisis management through maritime pressure and containment strategies targeting Iran strategically. Najafi claimed Washington is combining sanctions, naval containment, and limited military operations instead of pursuing another full-scale regional war. The analyst also argued America remains unwilling to offer Iran major sanctions relief despite renewed diplomatic engagement and negotiations. Mustafa Najafi said, and I quote, "After the failure of the project to resolve the Iran file through regime change, America has entered a phase of crisis management with gradual and all-encompassing pressure. In fact, the Americans, following the ceasefire, have adopted changes in their strategy toward Iran and have stepped toward gradual pressure in the military domain, maritime encirclement, and diplomacy. In fact, a fluid strategy that is no longer necessarily focused on extensive bombing and all-out war. America is unlikely to offer Iran a major concession in negotiations. They will not meaningfully lift the countrywide sanctions on a nation where they seek regime change." Unquote. Meanwhile, US CENTCOM released new images showing advanced F-22 stealth fighters operating across the Middle East region recently. The images showed American F-22 Raptors refueling mid-air, signaling continued military readiness amid escalating regional tensions involving Iran strategically. The military display reinforced perceptions that Washington continues maintaining sustained pressure tactics against Tehran despite ongoing diplomatic negotiations publicly worldwide. Trump also postponed a planned Camp David meeting, shifting the gathering instead to the White House on May 27th. The sudden scheduling change fueled speculation surrounding possible future American military planning linked directly to escalating tensions with Iran recently. Trump also reportedly held discussions with Netanyahu as negotiations surrounding Iran's nuclear crisis approached a critical and volatile stage. Donald Trump is reportedly facing intense backlash from senior Republicans over his evolving diplomatic approach toward Iran recently. Financial Times reported growing criticism against Trump's efforts to negotiate what opponents describe as a softer Iran agreement framework. Republican critics accused Trump of offering Tehran dangerous concessions while simultaneously extending fragile ceasefire arrangements across the region politically. Reports suggest Iran could receive sanctions relief and access frozen overseas assets in exchange for renewed nuclear negotiations soon. The proposed framework reportedly allows Iran to dilute or relocate enriched uranium instead of surrendering it directly to Washington authorities. Critics inside Trump's own party warned the agreement could ultimately strengthen Iran militarily and strategically across the Middle East region. Senator Lindsey Graham warned a softer Iran deal could fuel instability throughout Lebanon, Iraq, and the wider Gulf region. Lindsey Graham said, and I quote, "If it is perceived in the region that a deal with Iran allows the regime to survive and become more powerful over time, we will have poured gasoline on the conflicts in Lebanon and Iraq. I personally am a skeptic of the idea that Iran cannot be denied the ability to terrorize the Strait and the region cannot protect itself against Iranian military capability," unquote. Ted Cruz called the proposed Iran agreement a disastrous mistake, warning Tehran could still retain uranium enrichment capabilities afterward. Ted Cruz said, and I quote, "If the result of all that is to be an Iranian regime, still run by Islamists who chant death to America now receiving billions of dollars, being able to enrich uranium and develop nuclear weapons and having effective control over the Strait of Hormuz, then that outcome would be a disastrous mistake," unquote. Mounting criticism from Republican allies reportedly increased pressure on Trump to restore a tougher military posture against Iran immediately. Growing Republican backlash may have influenced Washington's decision to resume strikes despite ongoing ceasefire and diplomatic negotiations with Tehran. Even as peace talks continued, American forces launched fresh self-defense strikes inside southern Iran on May 25. A CENTCOM spokesperson confirmed the military operation, with Fox News reporting details surrounding the latest American action. Captain Tim Hawkins said, and I quote, "U.S. forces conducted self-defense strikes in southern Iran today to protect our troops from threats posed by Iranian forces. Targets included missile launch sites and Iranian boats attempting to emplace mines. U.S. Central Command continues to defend our forces while using restraint during the ongoing ceasefire," unquote. The strikes reportedly targeted Bandar Abbas, Iran's critical naval hub and a major strategic military installation nationwide. The escalation followed Trump's earlier declaration announcing major combat operations against Iran beginning from February 28 this year. Washington claimed the operation specifically targeted threats posed against American troops, military assets, and regional strategic interests abroad. CENTCOM insisted the strikes were defensive measures designed to deter further attacks and protect American regional military operations. The renewed confrontation unfolded while Trump simultaneously pushed diplomatic efforts aimed at securing a broader nuclear agreement with Tehran.
We took that over in one day, and we lost no one. In Operation Epic Fury, we lost 13 wonderful souls, wonderful special people. These incredible men and women gave their lives to ensure that the world's #1 state sponsor of terror will never have a nuclear weapon. Oh, and they won't. They will never have a nuclear weapon. I'm sure you know that.
This came as Washington maintained a blockade on Iran until negotiations conclude one way or the other, according to Trump. Trump also signaled a softer tone regarding Iran's enriched uranium stockpile through a recent Truth Social post online. The US president said he prefers Iran's uranium be destroyed locally or under strict international supervision elsewhere internationally. Reports suggest Iran is seeking guarantees from China and may consider relocating enriched uranium stockpiles there for security. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "The enriched uranium will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed or preferably, in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location, with the Atomic Energy Commission, or its equivalent, being witness to this process and event," unquote. Trump is reportedly facing mounting midterm pressure and backlash from loyalists over pursuing a softer diplomatic approach toward Iran recently.